the final exam. Now I have to figure it out how we can do final exam by computer video. So we'll see. I have to get some ideas from your office so that we'll do the best job. But again, main goal of this class is to get you familiarize with the terms, as many as you can. Therefore, when you meet those terms in your textbook and in your clinical practice, you would understand right away. Or at least you know where you can look it up, your textbook, terminology textbook. To mention about your textbook, the textbook is it has very high quality. I've looked up English American textbook, but that's not the level of it. It was written for nurses and technicians and so forth. So, to be a good doctor, you need to understand those explanations and terms you memorize, like dictionaries, and you will be in a very, very good situation to meet those challenges in your coming study. So, as I told you, the terms I expect you submit the homework, each person, more than 100 terms. 50, 60s, I looked up. That's maybe not the best. So at least you can look it up, those terms, in your textbook, write down. As you write down, you memorize. What does that mean? So the homework I received quite a bit by print. I have given about 4 or 5 of them out. So as I review it, I'll make a comment, and then you will receive it, because I'll give it to your office. Okay? So, and also I want to emphasize, as you study, be sure you read textbook along. Read along, so that the book, what you have, I think is a very expensive one, so I'm not really sure how much you paid for it, but they will become your textbook, your Bible. Therefore, you will be able to look it up in the future, like your dictionary book. So it has good explanations, good pictures, and it's all made it up by 지재근 선생님, and I know him. He's a very, very special person, dear to me. So sure you need to read a textbook. So as you go along your medical school, beginning and sophomore and junior, senior, you will have a collection of your own book, maybe 10 books, maybe more, and they will be your treasure book for the future when you go into more the real medical practice. So remember, the textbook, I want you to read through it. And also, this is time to catch up, because there's no homework. And reading book along with textbook, it's two in other classes. For instance, biochemistry, physiology, pathology, and pharmacology. Many books coming along with your the classes, and the more your book read, it will become your best way. So when you read book, more book you read, you will have a strong foundation to be a good doctor. I've known some of my classmates They don't read books, they just only notes and exam practice. They pass. However, I realize by doing that way, passing the doctor's exam, it's only give them very bare bone information. But when you read a textbook, they'll give you good foundation on it. So I strongly emphasize that's the orthodox way to be a good doctor. So that's the message today I'm giving you before I'm starting this lecture. So this lecture will be short. Therefore, we'll have regular lecture for the next Wednesday. So, as you see, number 5, terminology. And today, I want to give you all what I have as a specialties. I found out I have a specialty in pediatrics. I had a training in Children's Hospital of Michigan. And also I have a specialty in allergy immunology. That's my second specialties. I have a fellowship 2 years at UCLA. In bioethics, I have 6 years master degree. So that's my third specialties. Number 4, I added this one, geriatrics. I am doing a geriatric practice in the hospital for last 12 months at Allergy. So I can tell you I have 4 specialties. Next 1 hour, I will give you all what I know in these specialties, and plus some funds. So that's the way. We're going to go to the next slide. Oh, I hope this slide, wow, shows up very nicely on the slide. As you see me, when I finished 33 years my original American doctor practice, I went to Indian reservations. And I said, I want to learn how they play this Indian flute. So I got it, and I bought the hairband and some other decorations, and I played, and one of my friend came on, and that's the picture, so I got it. So, to tell you my background, education, and experiences, I told you some, but I graduated 1970 at Seoul 의과대학, and when I graduated, I was very proud of myself because I had 2 awards at the graduation. One, the award for the students who had a good grade. So my grade was not number 1, I was number 4. So I had 1 plaque with little gold on it. The second one, this is I'm more proud of it, we called it 모범상. They decided to give 2 out of the, I think probably 10,000 graduate in Seoul Dayak, and they called it 모범상. And they said, yeah, you deserve this one. So they give me gold medal given by the president at the time, Park Chung-hee, and I was happy of having that recognition of 모범상. That means I did something good for the university. So that's the Seoul National University. And second, I finished my Navy medical officer duty 3 years, and I flew to Michigan to be interns in pediatrics, Children's Hospital of Michigan in Detroit. So I had 2.5 years training over there, so-called intern residence. That's the hardest time of my medical career, learning English plus medicine. And after that, I drove back to Los Angeles, not back, to the west. Yes, west. And I did 2 years fellowship in Allergy and Immunology. This UCLA fellowship is a research fellowship. You do laboratory work with small amount of clinical work. And then I did go to Kaiser 33 years alone, and the later part of my work at Kaiser Hospital, I entered master degree training, bioethics. So at Loyola Marymount University, I had 6 years because I had part-time once a week, and I had enjoyed very much about it. And I felt that by learning bioethics, I did become better doctor, or something worthy doctor, and so forth. And after that, I went to Indian reservation for 2 years, and I turned around, came to Jeju, 의과대학 year school. So I have been coming to Jeju 의과대학 from year 2013. So today, this is my, I guess, 7th years. And I think it's going to be my last, I told you before, last time. So that is my education and experiences. So I think it's pretty, I'm qualified to give you kind of ideas of those disciplines, pediatrics, allergy, and bioethics and geriatrics. So first, pediatrics. I was very young, age 27, when I flew to Detroit, Michigan, and I went into training for 2.5 years. So what did I learn over there? Well, this is what I'm telling you. So in pediatrics, it's unique. There's no other specialties has such a good division of stages, because baby is born, becomes infant, and they grew up and toddler, and then go through the last changes. So those stages, in different stages, you give different medicine, different amount, not to mention it. So amount, kind of medicine you use for different ages. So when you have 1-year-old child, you give the medicine, but you don't give tetracycline. So kind of it makes a doctor to be kind of more adapted to the different age of your patient. So we call newborn, another medical term is neonate, from birth to the 4 weeks. But actually, some doctor says you go even ahead of it, before. So when you have fetus, when baby is inside of the mother's uterus, from the gestational age 24 up to 40 weeks, we call it infant. We call it fetus. So the fetus, their well-being is, of course, it is very special for obstetrics, the 산부인과 의사, but also the newborn, the person itself And some doctor looking into it make diagnosis even before birth, even give treatment before birth, or mainly right after birth. They go to surgeries, they make diagnosis, and so forth. But mainly, a pediatrician is the job to go to the delivery room, and then when baby comes out in trouble, because they kind of predict twins and having some the difficulties in monitors, and they call pediatrician, you rush to that. And then when baby come out, that's your duty to take care of little tiny babies, about 3.5 kilograms, or 7 pounds, we call it. So the newborn is very, very important, and when you go to Children's Hospital, there is neonatal intensive care room, or intensive care, NICU, we call it, and the newborn, sick babies, you take care of it. And of course they grow up under the care of mother and father, and they grow up slowly and step by step. They become an infant from 4 weeks to the 1 year. And of course, by the time they go to the pediatricians several times, regularly for the shots, vaccines, and also other extra visits. So the job of a pediatrician is actually doing preventative medicine. Preventative, okay. The vaccines, physical exam, and also prevention of accidents, fall, and poisoning. Poisoning means they put things in the mouth. Not only some strong medicine and even gasolines and grandma's and grandpa's pills, but also they put things in the mouth like buttons, and they choke the peanuts, and so the other person to make diagnosis of it. And also they are concerned about growth and development. Not all babies are good babies. Let's say you have 10 pregnancies. When you make 9 out of 10, you're lucky. In other words, there is 1 or 2 abortion before the delivery. Or baby is sick, not enough to come out. And once they are out of 9 babies, usually 1 or 2, they do have a problem at birth or in growing and development. So weight and height and HC means head circumference, and when they start walking, sitting up, so they sit up at age of 6 months and having first tooth at that time. And sitting, that's important. Walking, usually about a year, and by the time they have about 6 teeth. So they're counting the teeth and what they do when they put tours together by age 2 years, and then when they grow up, become toddler, entering kindergarten, they get all the shots and all those different kinds. And there is a vaccination schedules. So you will note, you will see what the vaccine's name, how they made it up, so forth. So the vaccination is a big deal in pediatrics. Before we had vaccination, so many babies couldn't make it. When I was young, my 2 siblings, one his brother, one his sister, couldn't make the childhood. So in the past, it is very common to have death in your families and neighborhood. The child cannot make it. Most often due to infectious disease, pneumonia, meningitis, diarrhea, and dehydration, and those kind are giving problems. So, but these days we are lucky. Most of the babies, they make through their childhood by having good vaccines, by having good pediatricians. They take care of you whenever they are sick and so forth. So growth and development is very important, and genetics also is another big thing in pediatrics. Why? Because when they have a problem in genetic diseases, you find out usually in childhood. It's a rare disease, rare to have later in adulthood telling you, I have first diagnosis of genetic diseases. So, the birth defect, we call it, or inborn error of metabolism, belongs to genetics. And syndromes, so there are maybe several hundreds of syndromes. So when you look at the textbook, at the end, there is a big section of index. It's appendix. All the syndromes is written down there. So obviously you will find out Down syndrome, trisomy 13, and all those different Turner syndrome, Klinefelter's diseases, and all those. So those, all the names of it, is not a big deal because that's in the book. So you just read it, you get familiarized with it, and then whenever you have questions, you look it up, your book. Yeah. Somebody else's book, new books are not easy to find. But the book you read and spent your time sweating on it, you know, it's very easy to find out. So genetics, that syndromes you will find out, the sections in the appendix of pediatrics books. And pediatrics is also unique because you have two parties to deal with. Sick child, sick children, and their parents. In most cases, worried mother. So, usually in practice in adult, you're dealing with the only patient. Do you like it or you like it with that one? So, you just have one party dialogue. And those two-party discussions. But in pediatrics, usually more than two.